Welcome to episode 18 of Views from a Business Leader. In this episode, we talk to Joe Munns, who is the founder of Bakedin. Good morning, Joe, and welcome to Views from a Business Leader. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So, if you don't mind, if you can just let the viewers know sort of who you are and what you do at Bakedin.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, my name's Joe Munns. I started Bakedin back in 2013, so 7 years ago now, and it's we make home baking mixes and home baking kits. And I went straight from university to IBM and worked there for 15 years in the IT in the software development labs, but was never like really passionate about the software side. It wasn't really my thing. I wanted to run my own business, and I love food. So we came up with the idea of some baking kits, made them up in the kitchen, sold them at markets. People liked them. Gradually evolved the products to the point where we were getting stocked in some little farm shops and delis and garden centres and places like that.
Yeah.
And then it just snowballed, doing the production in a little unit that we rented from the council in Basingstoke, to the point where it was just not feasible to do it around our day jobs as well. So I took the opportunity to quit from IBM and to raise some investment, some SAIS investment, build a small factory, and then hire a team. And then we've kind of grown pretty rapidly since then. We're on our fourth factory now, make everything in-house, and there's about 25 of us permanent in the business, and then a lot of agency staff as well.
Amazing! What a story in such a sort of short period of time as well. I guess that was sort of at the time, sort of getting that investment, and it's exciting, but probably quite nervous as well.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you can grow organically to a point, I think, but when you've got quite a cash-intensive business like we do, where some of our customers don't pay us for 4 months from delivery, and all the machinery and all the overheads of running a factory makes that really difficult to grow organically. So investment was a good route for us, and our first investors were friends of friends, supportive business angels. And they've invested in a couple of rounds, and that really helped us to kind of get off the ground to the point we've now got institutional investors behind us as well. Yeah, the early days were really exciting when we started turning it into a proper business.
Yeah, that's absolutely brilliant. So how many you mentioned you've got 25 staff, and obviously you work with a number of agencies. How many products do you actually sell now within the business?
We've got about 40 different products that we sell in the shops. We also sell a lot direct to consumer. So we have a subscription box. That was getting the first round of investment back in 2015 was largely to launch a subscription product.
Yeah.
So we come up with a new recipe every month. We put it in a little green box. Should have some props here really, but we send that through the letterbox to our customers. Grown that from a little Kickstarter. I think we launched with 150 people. We sent out nearly 17,500 boxes this month, so it's grown massively, and that's a completely different recipe every month. So we've got kind of 50 recipes now that we have created over the years, and every now and then we'll bring them back out of the archives and sell them. But generally, they're kind of when it's gone, kind of really exclusive product.
Well, I can vouch. I've been a customer of yours, and my daughters have very much enjoyed your the chocolate brownies that you sell.
Brownie was pretty much the first recipe. That was our first recipe back in 2013, sold at markets, and it is one of our best sellers.
Well, they're delicious, so yeah, they're very good. So I guess obviously we're living in quite strange times at the moment. How has the epidemic sort of impacted your business in terms of sort of production, revenue, staff? How have you sort of found it?
It's a really tough one because I've struggled with this a lot. The net of it is we've done really well. We hit the sweet spots. Home baking is pretty well publicized that home baking has had a massive resurgence. The market is kind of 10 times to what it was this time last year, not just for us, but in general, talking to other companies. Because people are looking for activities in lockdown. They're looking for things to keep themselves occupied. Great baking's always been great for the mental health side of things. It's a really therapeutic activity.
Definitely.
And so we tick that box, and we also tick the food delivery box. We send out the subscription every month, and obviously people not being able to get to supermarkets has meant there's been a massive increase in interest in that as well. So
Yeah.
from a demand point of view, we've been extremely fortunate, and I do feel guilty sometimes that everything, horrendous stuff, things that have been going on, that we've done well. It has been challenging. We've managed to trade all the way through lockdown, and we haven't had to furlough any staff. The staff that had roles that kind of have disappeared a bit, and the sales staff, we've kind of turned them to, and they're very happy to as well, to get stuck into the web orders and making sure we're getting all orders out to all our customers. So
Yeah.
from that respect, it's been good. The frustrating thing is we haven't been able to satisfy all the demand, even with our own factory, because we've had to space everything out. From day one, we've taken it really, really seriously, the measures to kind of stop the spread of the disease, and everyone's 2 meters apart, which means we've got half the number of people we can put in our factory.
Yeah.
Normally, when we get super busy, we would get a lot of agency staff to help pack boxes, but we just don't have the living quarters, or the staff room's not big enough. So we've had to just limit what we can do.
Yeah.
And we've moved into a new site. So in the last few weeks, we've been working on our lease, and we've got a new site in Basingstoke, which is now our HQ and our warehouse, which has meant that all the warehouse and office space from our existing HQ is now turned into more factory space. So we have now started to open up demand, and we've got a couple of really big customers, Costco and Tesco, who have been seeing a lot of interest in our products as well. So we've had to cut down some products we make as well, because there's so many, trying to keep all them all in stock, and the space it takes up, and the complexity, as we took the decision on day one to rationalize the product range right down.
Yeah.
And just make less products and try and focus on the ones that were more important to our customers. So cinnamon bun kit has been one of our big hits, and that's doing phenomenally well in Costco, and it's a bread product. It's a very cost-effective way to make cinnamon buns. So we took that product. Our rainbow cake as well has been massively popular, and there's been a lot of trends on rainbows. People baking rainbow cakes in NHS, and we really struggle to keep that line in stock. So we've just had to step back and accept that we can't fulfill every order, and we've had to let some people down, on our delivery times are longer than we want them to be, but we've kept everyone safe. And we have still managed to we've managed to turn over nearly 10 times what we turned over in the same period last year.
Wow, it's nice to hear some success stories during this really hard time. And I definitely wouldn't feel guilty that the fact that you're doing well is really, really good to hear. In terms of sort of the keeping people safe, I guess where we sort of started to ease lockdown measures, and business owners like myself and many others I'm speaking to, they're starting to think about, okay, how do we get back to work? What sort of safety measures do we have to put in place? But you've been doing it for the last, however many weeks. So can you just talk to us a little bit about those type of measures, what you've had to do when people turn up at work, how do they sort of conduct themselves, and temperature, all of that sort of stuff? That'd be really good.
Yeah, so to start with, I mean, we're a SALSA accredited food production facility. So all of our hygiene practices and everything are all strict and audited, multiple times a year anyway. And that's the standards that we need to be able to supply places like Costco and Tesco. Yeah. So a lot of the measures that came in that were new for people were business as usual for us. People aren't allowed on site if they've got stomach upsets, for example, and that's not specifically a symptom of COVID, but we basically just increased all those policies so that if anyone did have any flu-like symptoms and they're isolating, we stuck to the government regulations for pretty much everything, with a few extras. The most important thing was spreading out the workstations and making sure that we could keep everyone 2 meters apart. We had to put some one-way systems in. It's not a purpose-built building. There is some pinch points and where people put whites on and things. So we put some one-way systems in. It means that when people come back from breaks, it takes maybe 5 or 10 minutes longer to get everyone whited up and hand washed up. 2 hand wash sinks next to each other. We took one out of action. So everything just takes a bit longer. But a small sacrifice to be able to to kind of keep the production and the output. We temperature check everyone when they come in, so we got a contactless thermometer just before the they sold out everywhere in the country.
Yeah.
And so everyone that comes in gets temperature checked. We survey everyone at the end of every day to see who they've been in contact with, and then they shouldn't have been, but if sometimes it happens by accident, so that if we did ever have to track and trace, we'd be able to identify which staff anyone had been close to. All the office staff have been working from home from day one. We do like to have people in the office. The team like to be in the office because it's a startup, because we're all mucking in and doing different things. But everybody who doesn't absolutely have to be in has been working from home since the end of March. And then I think it's just applying a lot of common sense as well, because we don't share, people don't go in company vehicles. We've got good links into companies that make things like hand sanitizer, because we use tons of it anyway, business as usual. So issuing all the staff with personal hand sanitizers and keeping them topped up, so even when they're not at work, and using the officially sanctioned sanitization stations they've got, they've had a good supply of hand sanitizer to take home and use as much as possible. So doing what we can to try and keep the staff as safe as we can when they're not actually at work as well, I think is really important to us.
100%.
Yeah, I mean the guidelines change, and we've got technical consultants that we pay to help keep all our food hygiene processes in order with new legislation. So anytime there's been new risk assessments to do, we treat it all as a priority, because ultimately the staff are the most important things in our business. That's 100% our priority. Is we take the approach that if our staff are safe and happy, then our customers are going to be happy, because the products are going to be great. So we've just kind of kept our company philosophy and values going through this, and touch wood, it's worked well for us so far.
No, that's brilliant. In relation to sort of supply chain, and have you sort of experienced any sort of adverse sort of knock-on effects because of the situation, in terms of, do you get some stock coming in from overseas and there's been delays on that? Because you mentioned in the production sort of cycle, how's that, has COVID impacted that at all?
It has a bit. So there's pretty well documented shortages of flour. There has been. There isn't a shortage in flour in the size bag we buy, and we buy pallets at a time, and in those big 16 kilogram bags, there's no shortage at all.
I know where to come then next time I need some.
I'm a man with a lot of flour, but no, the shortage is getting it in small bags, and we're a company that puts it in small bags. So from the raw material side of things, the only main problem we've had is with yeast, because there's two kind of main manufacturers of dried yeast that we use, and one's in France and one's in northern Italy, both very heavily affected by coronavirus, and they've had similar impacts on their manufacturing, and they've had to cut massively down the number of people in the factory. So that problem, is the yeast problem, is now I think I've heard Marmite are only producing one size at the moment because of these kind of shortages. Unfortunately, we've got good suppliers, and we've got a number of different suppliers, so we've managed to get hold of enough supplies to get us through probably a few months longer than we would normally hold stock. So we've tried to get stock in of things we think there's going to be problems with, and make sure we've got, where we would normally hold a month's supply, we've got 3 months supply. We don't import loads, to be honest. We try to source in the UK wherever possible. All the flour comes from a mill 30 miles away in Wantage.
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah, really. They've been with them since the beginning. So they're a nice family-run business, and we're a family-run business. So we like to support where we can. Printers in the UK. There is some longer lead times on things like tinfoil trays and baking papers and things like that. But generally, touch wood again, generally we've been in a pretty good situation from a supply chain point of view.
Do you think the food industry will, do you think there's going to be noticeable difference? By the sounds of it, it's like almost for you, sort of business as normal, but it's just adjusting and being flexible and adjusting your processes, maybe just, slightly to a point. Do you think, how do you think COVID is going to impact the food industry sort of long term?
I mean, it's a tough one, isn't it? We're always going to need to eat. Um, that's one thing. When I started the business, I can actually explain to people what I do for a living now. Everyone understands cake and baking. No one
Yep.
understands, including myself. You know, I worked there for 15 years and still don't totally get my head around the software that was the software behind the bank's ATM machines. It's pretty complicated stuff. But so yeah, we can all relate to the food industry because we all eat. Um, I think there's gonna be definitely more interested in food delivery. I think
Yeah.
that's with no question, and all the supermarkets are already focusing on that. Ocado have just had a massive investment in them. You know, it's ridiculously hard to get home delivery slots still with all the supermarkets.
Yeah.
Places like Amazon Fresh, and our own website. You know, we've seen demand on our website. We've been out of stock of most items for the last couple of months, and we just keep stocked up what we could. But people are really keen to buy online. And I think a lot of our habits will change as well. You know, things like I'm not sure if handshakes will ever come back. You know, changing subject from the food industry, but you know, what was a really normal thing for us to do before we meet someone and handshake them. I think we're probably going to get so used to not shaking hands with people that we might never start doing it again.
Mm.
And again, the same people are going to get used to having with our baking club boxes. They come through the letterbox as completely contactless. You don't even have to, you know, have any contact with a delivery driver. So I think that the focus on delivery and convenience is going to be is going to grow quicker than it already was in the first place. I think there's opportunities for brands that have built relationships with their customers during these last few months, like real genuine relationships. People have been at home, and we've found we've got a closed group on Facebook for our Bacon Club subscribers, and that's grown from like 1,500 to over 5,000 now
Wow.
since March, and that's a community of people. I think people are banding together, and people are looking out for each other more than they maybe did before. So having supportive groups is really important. And I think it's given us a really powerful way to communicate with those customers on a really personal level, because we're all communicating with them with our own personal Facebook profiles. It's not a generic mega brand in the supermarket that you don't have any. I love Heinz tomato ketchup. I'll always buy Heinz tomato ketchup, but I don't have any real affinity with Heinz. Whereas the brands that are having like real conversations with their customers and building that relationship, I think the people are going to turn to those brands more in the future. And there is an opportunity for challenger brands like us in the supermarket. We're already in a lot of shops, but our market share is tiny compared to the market leaders. And it's like trying to unseat Heinz tomato ketchup as the market leader. It's probably foolish to think that we can do that in certainly even the medium term. But what it does give us is a much better opportunity, and when I say us, I mean challenger brands, to stand out on the shelves, and to the buyers will add more value to these communities that we've built, and the databases and the mailing lists that we've got with our customers, and hopefully helps us to get more listings as we go forward. So I think we'll see more challenger brands doing well. I think.
Oh, 100%.
There will be some questions of survival, because some people won't have been as fortunate as us, and a lot of their business will have been in food service, and they'll be hit harder. So there may be some that fall by the wayside that maybe wouldn't have done if this hadn't happened. But I think people are going to be looking to have more affinity with the brands they're buying from.
Yeah, I obviously work in the marketing sector myself, so the importance of share of voice at the moment is huge, because you do find companies automatically, when they things are recessions and global pandemics, people sort of almost like retract initially and think, oh, what I'm doing. They don't continue that sort of marketing voice and the relationship with their customers and increase it, because during this time, these are the times when you need to be increasing it. And the food industry it's such a communal and industry in terms of sharing experiences, sharing recipes. And yeah, I know on a personal level, I've been cooking far more than I used to. And I think obviously I'm not the only one. So have you had time to think about sort of the future of Bakedin in terms of new brands, new products that you're wanting to bring to the market? And has that changed your thought process because of the pandemic?
It has changed. We're not doing as much NPD as we would normally. So yeah, everyone's working at home. That means our recipe developers are working at home. It means it takes longer for us to get feedback. Normally, when someone's working on something, it gets baked, it gets brought in the office, we all eat it.
Yeah.
And I'm missing that a lot. So my waistline isn't actually. My waistline is not missing that at all. But I would say, the volume of NPD that's coming out. Normally, this time of year, we'd be knocking up some kind of more novelty gifting kind of lines that we'd be taking to the autumn fair, which is our big trade show, one of our big trade shows of the year.
Yeah.
But those were all cancelled, so we don't have any real ways of showing our new products to our buyers at the moment. So we're focusing on products, on our direct to consumer products, things that people want. We're launching a bread baking subscription to go alongside our normal baking subscription, which is going to launch in September. So we're expediting that. It's been in the pipeline for a long time, and we've been sort of developing recipes quietly in the background. But given the massive interest in baking bread at the moment, and we've got enough yeast to do it, so we're going to do it. So that's going to be something that we've brought forward that may have taken a bit longer. We launched a new product at the back end, soft launched at the back end of last year, called the Cake Factory, and it's a customizable cake kit where you pick all your different coloured layers, your icing, your sprinkles, and we box it all up and send it out. And we were building that nicely, and then lockdown kicked in, and all of our stock got bought insanely quickly. And because it's a complicated product, there's sort of 70 possible different components that could go into it. It put too much pressure on our production team, so that was one of the products that unfortunately had to be backburnered to enable us to keep up with the other demands. But we've got a massive waiting list now for people to buy these products. So we're working on relaunching that as well in September, because it's direct to people, direct to consumers. They can make their own birthday cakes where they may have gone and bought them from the supermarket or from other people who aren't necessarily trading at the moment. So yeah, we've really tried to tailor our NPD and our new product launches on things that that we can do quickly and that we can send directly to our customers. Yeah. And we turn products into retail products for the supermarkets, and we're working on a couple of new products for Costco and Tesco that are based on previous baking club recipes that could get out fairly quickly as well.
Well, Joe, it's been brilliant. I could talk to you all day, I think, about. I love food as well, and it's one of my favourite subjects. I guess just to summarise and finish off, is there a sort of piece of advice that you might sort of share with other sort of business owners? Obviously, everybody's in different markets, and you've already touched on the fact that Bakedin is going from strength to strength during this time, because of obviously the things that we've talked about. But is there any sort of advice that you might sort of pass on? Because I guess you've touched on, you've got office workers at home, so you've got to keep them sort of the well-being side of working from home, being in four walls, and sort of not seeing the office is quite difficult for some people. I know it is, for some of my staff. And is there any sort of advice that you might want to just share or pass on with any business leaders?
Yeah, I think the general advice that I think is applicable to every single business at the moment is that we're all going to remember everything that happens now. This is, this section of our lives for most of us is going to be, the most upheaval a lot of us have had, and things have been different. And we're going to remember everything that happens. We're going to remember how we get treated by businesses. Yeah. Our staff are going to remember how we treat them. We're going to remember how our staff treat us as business leaders. We're going to remember how our suppliers treat us. We're going to remember the things we enjoyed doing lockdown, the things we missed. And I think all that stuff is gonna. I think it's such a monumental kind of event that we're going through that we'll all remember that stuff. Yeah. So if we treat people well now, then that, which we should do anyway, but particularly now, if we treat our customers, our suppliers, our staff our friends and family well, then everyone remembers this. And when we come out the other side, if we've done that, then I believe we'll all come out. The people that have done that will come out stronger. I know I've got suppliers that haven't treated us well, and I'm looking for replacement suppliers. And I know I've got suppliers that have, really empathised with some of our problems and helped us get out of sticky patches. And I'll be loyal to those suppliers. If someone offers me a penny off something here and there, I'm not going to change supplier because I remember how they treated us now. And I think that's the most important thing, is just to treat have the relationships we have in business and in life, just to treat everyone well. And I think that is one of the positives that can come out of it, is that you vote with your feet and actions speak louder than words and all these kind of cliches. But I think in the next kind of 12 months we're going to see real benefits from doing the right thing by people.
Joe, well, thank you very much. I think you've summarised it exceptionally well there, and I'm delighted that Bakedin are doing so well, and it's a brilliant story. Long may it continue. I wish you all the best in getting those new products out and feeding the nation with your yummy treats and great recipes. But yeah, it's been a pleasure today, and thanks for summarising that at the end, because I think that is it's been fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Not at all. Cheers.